Man labai malonu pristatyti tikrai 3 itin kompetentingus šių problemų ekspertus ir pradėsim nuo kolegos iš Estijos. Pulkininkas Aivar Jaeski, jis yra Estijos karinių pajėgų narys, tarnauja nuo 1992 metų, nuo 2012 metų iki 2014 rugsėjo vadovavo Estijos karinių pajėgų strateginės komunikacijos departamentui ir šiuo metu jis eina pareigas Rygoj veikiančiam NATO strateginės komunikacijos kompetencijos centre. Kągi, kur mūsų kolega iš Estijos? Čia jūs. Noriu pakviesti jūs taip.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Your Excellencies, officers, ladies and gentlemen, Lithuanian brothers in arms. I'm Colonel Aivar Jaeski, coming from Estonia, but right now I'm working at the NATO Center of Excellence on Strategic Communication. And my presentation is not official NATO statement, because NATO is making the official statements agreed between 28 nations around the table. This is coming from our center, and me as Estonian officer, I'm not representing also Estonian official position. Those facts are coming from a study what our center conducted. And this autumn, we finalized a study on Russian information campaign against Ukraine, and I'm happy to present the results of this study. Here is an outline of my presentation. I speak a little bit about aim, context, about information campaign and information operations, strategic narratives, what Russia is using, strong and weak points, and make some conclusion. So, aim of our analysis were methods and strengths and weaknesses of the campaign what was conducted against, or is conducted against Ukraine. The time frame chosen is when Lithuania was in chairmanship of the European Union till annexation of the Crimea. And during this study, we found that the context where all things are happening are framed with this statement. The breakup of the Soviet Union was the greatest geopolitical tragedy of the 20th century. And it is stated by the Russian president. So we can be sure that all the rest actions what has been taking place are done in order to fix these mistakes. Additionally, you must understand that the build-up or the maintenance of the old Soviet structure has taken place already for a long time, 50 years. That's what we found out. Because it's not one day, or some cases, yeah, you can take control over the media also with one day, but what has happened in Russia, it is process what has last already for 15 years. And during those years, although the policy and documents have been made in order to support all those developments, but have later on finalized with the annexation of Crimea. And also military actions, very famous Gerasimov doctrine. Some bullets are listed here. Some people are saying that this is now hybrid warfare. I would like to say that this is enhancement of the ideology Sun Tzu already developed. It's modernized. And as you can see, also information space is part of the Russian military doctrine. Information space, information campaign. So how it was conducted? Here is picture. Narratives and controlled in very high top level. Audiences are selected very carefully. On the bottom you can see all the audiences. There were audiences, messages, narratives directed towards Ukraine, Russia, internal communication, compatriots who are living abroad, and also messages to the foreign countries. And for that, media was used. Media, the control was established through the own people, my люди, who are working in the channels down there. Also through social media, where the restrictions have been built up, and also building up the troll farms. The people who are commenting under different names, the articles what they don't like, etc. Also, non-governmental organizations are used and built up, and foreign policy supports all those activities. And of course, international organizations also are influenced. But what is missing from this picture? There is missing military part. And me as old NATO Infops officer, I was very interesting to study how Russia is using info operations in Ukraine, and comparing to our doctrine, our concept, info operations is a military function what coordinates and uses tools and techniques like psyops, operational security, civil-military cooperation, all deception, other stuff. And I listed those examples what I found, and here following I will show some examples. So here is one psyops example. Psyops is to influence people, to change their minds, to change their behavior and mood. And what is the best tool? Of course, show crying children, wounded children. In normal man, crying child initiates a reflection of protection. And this is one of the examples what I want to show. The image what was taken from a movie was taken in context of Ukraine and was presented as a real case. Another example, those are all open source information what we have found and gathered. This girl was not killed in Slavyansk, it was accident, construction accident where the balcony was collapsing in one of the holiday resorts. And also face-to-face communication is one way for psychological operations. I believe the term green man is very childish. Green man, that's very friendly. But not everybody are using. Even we in military, we are saying, oh, those are those green men who doesn't have emblems and symbols. So there are achievements that Russian psyops achieved. Next example, operational security. All the unscrewed number plates, those are example for operational security. Of course, time to time there were were not cleaned afterwards, and it was recognizable where from those cars came. But this is an example from military perspective. And also, if the numbers were not taken away, those are examples of other kind of information operation. Those are examples on present posture and profile, or maybe lousy OPSEC. But presence, if you talk about presence, there is no doubt that the Russian forces are acting in Ukraine. I think Ukrainians have approved many times, and who doesn't believe that this is stupid or just usual idiot? And usual idiots are tools, but are quite often used against us, and time to time they are living among us. I have one example from my own career. 2012, we had the largest command post exercise what NATO has annually was taking place in Estonia. And the most violent statements about this exercise came from Estonian reporters. And I was very surprised. Why? Even at that time, the neighbor country was correct and didn't spell the news about war or threat of war. So those usual idiots, I believe, should not work in our mainstream media. Because media task is not only to give a news and entertain, but media should also safeguard our core values. Okay, presence. Posture. Posture, what we saw in Crimea, it's very interesting. Usually, Putin is bringing example that I just heard 2 days ago that, oh, in Crimea we did the same what NATO did at Kosovo. We are just repeating, that's the same scheme. But I want to ask, does NATO forces went in without any symbols? Does NATO forces went in without any warning? I think there was long preparation period. All units who entered Kosovo had a flag, emblem. Soldiers were proud to stop genocide. What has happened in Crimea was absolutely different. Profile. Now, when we are talking about profile of the forces who were acting in Crimea and today in eastern part of Ukraine on opposing side, I think Russian forces has went through huge transformation. We remember a Russian soldier, a man with hat nailed to the back of the head, hands in a pocket, and cigarette hanging from the teeth. That was a picture what we remember. Even in Georgia, there were not very nice, well-equipped man walking around. But in Crimea, there was picture absolutely different. So, congratulations, transition, transformation, what Russian forces has done as military man, I would say, those are remarkable. Deception. Deception is one of the military tools to mislead, confuse, and here is again one picture what is taken from internet when event in Bosnia is introduced, like event in Donbass. Another example, pictures from Chechnya, 1995. They are treated as death in Ukraine. All are to confuse, to mislead. And they are reaching our audiences. They are reaching our nations. Another example here is movie makers. We are from the future when picture is from those movie makers used as event in Ukraine. It's a real deception. And for some audiences it works. Electronic warfare also. That's a proof all those phone calls what were hacked, recorded, listened, analyzed, and presented at YouTube. It's an example of the capabilities. Those are existing, and those are used. Yeah, 3 examples what I copied here. Estonian foreign minister phone call to EU Miss Ashton, Victoria Nuland phone call, and also a Lithuanian diplomat's phone call. They have capability, and it's used for information operation purposes, to mislead, to confuse. Physical destruction. Yeah, in Gerasimov doctrine that was written, we must use precise weapon. MH17, was it precise hit? Yes, it was. But I assume it was by accident, or the results were not counted. They were trying to hit another plane. So there is not too many precise weapons in Russian armed forces. But except one. And this one is special forces. Special forces importance has risen remarkably, and they are used as one of the precise weapons for physical destruction as well. Key lead engagement, another example. This is example from the elections when official media was presenting that President Poroshenko doesn't have any possibility to win elections. What happened was absolutely another way around, but official media was trying to influence people. That's a fact. And key leaders are always under very big observation, and here is another very interesting example what I like. I mean, we know that German Chancellor Angela Merkel, she doesn't like dogs, and we know that Putin, he likes cats. But I think to use dog to make your guest uncomfortable, that's only tool what ex-KGB podpolkovnik can use. I think protocol office knows very well the habits of the so high-ranking guests, so it's pure information info of PSYOPs what was conducted against key leader. Computer network operations, cyber war. I already told you there are troll farms. Cyber area is modern, new, and quite complicated. We are just learning what it means. And my friend Massimo will give a more detailed presentation about, so I will not stop. But there are examples. Especially we Estonians, we have experienced those examples. Civil-military cooperation is also part, according NATO doctrine, part of the information operations. I don't know, is it civil-military cooperation if you paint your military cars white and put military drivers to drive? Maybe it's some kind of their way to to civil-military cooperation. Yeah, we can say they did it. They did it. Okay, what were the narratives? Those are the 4 bullets what were used for the narrative building. That Ukraine is a part of Russian world. Ukraine is one of the FIs, Nazi state. There was a narrative is coming from statement West is divided. There are statements that Russia has friends in the West. And also all the actions in mainstream media, they are always legitimized. There is no Russian troops in Ukraine. What you're talking about. Okay, strengths. Right timing, when the event took place. Long-term preparation, I already explained. But I want to say more, all the lessons learned were taken account, and policy and legal documents in place. Strategic command and control. Direction and guidance came from the highest top. Compatriots policy also was used. Useful idiots. Knowledge of target audiences. They know where they act, and they reflect always the historical memories and the language skills. And deception. Massive use of deception. Massive use of deception. Weaknesses. First weakness, disinformation campaigns erode over the time. There is always say, do, cap. And you, if you are conducting something, you must always keep in mind. Our deeds speak louder than our words. We can never change world only with the words. We need deeds, always. Say, do, cap. It's a weakness of the Russian information campaign. Inability to control social media. There were some restrictions, but social media is a tool even used in Russia, what is revealing mistakes and failures. And also poor assessment, Western reaction. The expectations were that West will split. The unity of European Union and NATO will disappear. But what happened? It was another way around. Europe became more united, NATO became more united, Ukraine became more, as a state, more united. Conclusions. Communication capabilities as a soft power in modern war are playing an important role before and during the crisis. We should not underestimate that. Russian narratives are based on historical memory, and they are persistent. Crises in Ukraine are the result of the Russians' long-term strategy. And Ukraine was only first target. What will happen the next? Compatriots, they are used, and they are used in the future for fatherland's ambitions. All those compatriots, not I'm talking the Russian-speaking population living in Latvia or Estonia or Lithuania, also living in Germany, in States, etc. Deception, if you consume Russian media, you always consider the fact of the deception. There is falsifications, lots of mislead information. And in the end, disinformation campaigns erodes over the time. Truth will win, that was sure. there is no direct threat towards Lithuania. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia are the members of powerful alliance, most successful military alliance in the world history, NATO. And NATO just came out from war in Afghanistan, where 28 nations were working together, were operating together, developing their military capabilities together. It means we are stronger than ever. Keep it in mind, but be also careful for the future. Thank you for your attention. That's all.
If you could stand a little bit, if someone has brief questions, because later on we will have much broader discussion, but if someone has brief questions or comments on your topic, yes, Mr.
Arūdas Akmokas, energy analyst. How do you estimate the latest statement of Russian officials that Russia requires 100% that Ukraine will not join NATO? What response from Western countries may be expected, if any? Thank you.
The Western countries, democratic countries, they value basic rights, basic human rights, speak loudly, and they also accept the independence and sovereignty of the states and nations. So that, in that line, will be also response. Does it answer to your question?
Yes. Sir, thank you for your presentation. My question will be very concrete, not theoretical, but practical. It's related to Estonian and Latvian realities, not so much Lithuania. About Russian minority in Russian-speaking minority, but let's say Russian minority. Russian-speaking is, you can use poetry of Lermontov and will be Russian-speaking. It's unclear. So it's a question about how you think will be capable Kremlin to use minority in a real sense against Latvian and Estonian states. In Lithuania, we have a little bit other problems. So in this case, what do you think? Well, last referendum in Latvia landed with, that's part of Russian community voted against Russia like a second language. How do you think we can count on which part of Russian community can be not against NATO? Russian-speaking community in Latvia and Estonia. Thank you.
I think you asked a very complicated question. If I had the crystal ball, I would answer. I don't know. I want to believe that our Russian-speaking population is loyal to our country. They like to live in our country, and we very much appreciate and honor the nationality, and we consider them as a friend. In military example, we have lots of Russian-speaking conscripts, not conscripts. And of course, also officers and COs, because they are part of our society who has taken citizenship and serve in our armed forces. They are very loyal, and they like to live in Estonia. But taking account that at the same times, pretty many of them are living in this falsified information area, consuming the Russian media, what is centrally controlled. I don't know what will be the result. It's the crystal ball effect. I didn't believe that 2007 will happen, but it happened, so I don't know. But I believe for the better future. The democracy will win.
One last question.
Okay, my name is Vytautas Beniušis, and I have a question about the situation in Estonia. It would be interesting to know whether in Estonia situation is similar like in Lithuania. After the Russian aggression in Ukraine, we could see that a lot of young people and elder people are joining, for example, our Šaulių sąjunga. What are the situation in your country, in Estonia, whether a lot of young people are also joining it, and what are the tendencies? Do only the, let's say, Estonians are joining these organizations, or also Russian minorities and other minorities also joining these organizations? Thank you.
Yeah, as Estonian citizen consuming Estonian media, I have information that yes, there is a similar situation. Young people are joining our young guard, National Guard units, and people are really worried about their future. But I want to say that here also our nations have done very good job. But where is threat coming right now? In three areas. They are coming from energy point of view. They are coming from cyber point of view. They are coming from communication point of view. And where are the NATO centers of excellences for all those subjects allocated? They are here. Energy security center of excellence is in Lithuania. Strategic communication center of excellence is in Latvia, and cyber defense center of excellence is in Estonia. So I would like to say we are doing very well facing the modern warfare. Thank you for your attention. And
thank you indeed for your very comprehensive and interesting presentation.